Has Alabama narrowed its quarterback search?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money, and I'll tell you about Monarch Money in just a bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today, and thanks everybody for making this your first listen every single day. First of all, nobody needs to tell me, hey, Luke, there's something wrong with your volume. I don't have my microphone. I'm on the road. I'm in SabB, Columbus, Ohio, for my daughter's graduation, so cut me some slack. I'm in a hotel room. Don't have a lot of technology here. You know, Columbus is so much further behind LA City.
They don't have the internet there? That's kind of surprising.
Have the internet here. I'm using your old internet, the two gerbils that are running in the cage.
It's just surprising as well as they recruit football players.
Also want to give a shout out to Rob, who called me yesterday and just said, hey, man, I really enjoyed listening to you guys all the way down in Houston. Rob sends out I was trying to do my Casey Kasem voice. It didn't work out.
What are the percentages of people listening to this show who've ever heard of Casey Kasem, who died, I think, when we were young?
I didn't know he was dead, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you somebody who's very much alive, and that's Jett Thomalla.
Very much alive.
Jett Thomalla. It seems like Alabama is beginning to funnel their focus right towards Jett Thomalla. Now, I'll say this about that, and I got to go find his name really quickly. There was another kid, his name's like Jackson Riley or something, a wide receiver, who tweeted out that, hey, Alabama got an offer from Alabama, something like that. And people were watching his tape, and everybody was like, okay, the wide receiver's good. Who the heck's the quarterback? He's like from a 5A school in Louisiana. I got to go find it really quickly while you're talking. But
I think you're talking about the quarterback is Jackson Reed from Destrehan, Louisiana.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Maybe Jackson Reed's the quarterback's name, but I thought Alabama offered the wide receiver, not the quarterback.
I just know that Alabama is very interested in Jackson Reed as a quarterback. They have not offered him a scholarship. As a matter of fact, he's very lightly recruited. He's a
dart thrower.
He has impressive tape. He has impressive tape. It's just amazing to me that his offer list is very paltry, to be honest. I mean, his rankings and offer list, which often go hand in hand. It's a chicken or egg thing. But he's not very highly recruited. But Alabama is very interested in him and has invited him to the big camp they're having. I think it's June 14th. He did tweet that Alabama invited him to camp. And then I was going through his Twitter timeline. He's been invited to a lot of camps. I mean, I think this is a kid like, wow, you look good on tape. You know what I wonder happens? I think they watch him on tape and they're like, why didn't this guy have more offers? We better bring him in. There must be something wrong. We better bring him into camp. And it's like no one wants to be the first. But something tells me if someone like a USC or Ohio State offered him, he'd get like 25 offers in 3 days.
Yeah. If he comes again, we need to go back to Jett Thomalla, but this just came up today, or at least I saw it this morning. That this kid was like, I think a lot of people were looking at the receiver. And by the way, for those who don't know, that's kind of the story of how Terrell Owens got recruited. So, somebody had gone to watch, and I thought it was a guy named Mitch Allen, but it's not Mitch Allen, Michael Allen. Mitch Allen's another friend of mine who was not recruited. But Michael Allen, I thought it was him, but I think it was another guy perhaps. Derek, oh gosh, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But they were playing at Benjamin Russell. And they went to go see Derek, whatever his name is, I can't remember. And Terrell Owens made like a catch. Everybody was like, whoa, wait a minute. And then UT Chattanooga jumped on him pretty hard. And I think this may be one of those scenarios because the quarterback, his name apparently is Jackson Reed. I got that confused. So again, I'm in Columbus. Things get confusing.
They don't have internet there.
They don't have the internet. I can't really keep up. But the thing that impressed me was this cat was throwing 50-yard dimes in the rain, not just regular rain. Louisiana rain. Louisiana. Southern rain is heavier than northern rain. Y'all know this, right? Like, I don't know the science behind it. I just know when I'm in the South and it rains really hard, it feels like the drops hit harder. When I'm in the North,
drops. There's bigger drops.
There's bigger drops, and they're sweatier and they're a little more country.
Each drop is its own bucket of water.
Yeah, I mean that, and so they really, like it's sort of like being in the swamp, being in the bayou down there. Right?
Yeah, he plays at a really good program too. Destrehan, I mean, they produce prospects. That's what's kind of surprising about. I mean, he put up crazy numbers. That's just a weird recruiting story, and sometimes weird recruiting stories produce great players. Most of the time, weird recruiting stories produce a very average or less player. But anyway, he's coming to camp. He doesn't have an Alabama offer. Jett Thomalla does. Jett Thomalla, speaking of offers, is even offered a spot in the Elite 11. I mean, which, I never really thought that Alabama would be in the picture for an elite quarterback. But I think if you get invited to Elite 11, and by the way, only 8 quarterbacks so far have earned Elite 11 offers. 8.
It's not a great year for quarterbacks, right? I mean,
it's not a super year. But here's something I just discovered this really, or just thought through it before we started today's show. Charles Powers, who does the rankings for On3, Charles Power and his people, he's got a little staff, but really Charles Powers responsible for it. And he's very good at his job. I think he's the best in the business, right? So before Alabama had even offered them at all, Charles Power had ranked Matt Ponatowski and Jett Thomalla number 9 and 10 in the country. No one else has them that high, but it's almost like I call it a pre-Bama bump. Charles Powers, he seems to share a wavelength with DeBoer and Sheridan and Grubb over who they're going to, because he's got those guys ranked high, and Alabama offered both, ranked way ahead. There's guys behind them that are committed to places like Michigan and Clemson and Miami that are behind Jett Thomalla and Matt Ponatowski.
They're both ranked ahead of Derek Zammit, are they not?
Yeah, 6 or 8 spots. 6 or 8 spots. We like Derek Zammit, and we thought he was certainly Alabama worthy. I think there's some more upside maybe in Jett Thomalla the more I watch him, and I like Ponatowski quite a bit. But one more point about, a year ago when Alabama took the SMU quarterback who was very low rated at the time, what recruiting service was pretty high on Keelan Russell before everyone else? Charles Power. Charles Power had Keelan Russell ranked higher than all the other services, and before that, I'm just saying, I'm sure it could be a coincidence, just these handful of guys we're talking about, but it does seem like the evaluation from On3 and Charles Power seems to track what Alabama sees when they're looking at these guys.
I came up with 3 jokes while you were talking. I'm going to do all 3, and you tell me which one's great.
Okay.
Derek Zammit, well, since he didn't commit to us, it's more like Derek dang it. It's more like Derek dang it.
Okay.
That was not good, and I botched the delivery.
The fact that you botched the delivery made it funnier than it actually was.
And also now because I said dang it, knowing that's the punchline, but I only said it because I was mad at myself. Then, you think recruiting stories that are weird lead to fun prospects? Josh Jacobs just called and said yes, they do. Because remember, his recruiting was very weird. That wasn't so much funny.
That wasn't funny, but it was prescient. Is prescient a word?
No. I'm going to take your word for that. So. Ever since you got me on TAMP, and then the other one I said, I'm busy over here tweeting. Jimmy Stein said Charles Power has a small staff. Tweet.
There's your funniest joke.
That was my funny.
There's your home run.
There it is. All right.
There's your home run.
Now, speaking of home runs, Jimmy, a couple of safeties on Alabama's roster may be hitting home runs with Pro Football Focus. Bray Hubbard and Keon SabB are both graded very well by the publication.
Yeah, I was almost a little surprised to see it. That's why I wanted to mention it. But PFF, obviously, one thing about them, you may disagree with a lot of their grades. I know I do, especially when it comes to college. Their pro stuff seems to be really good. I disagree with a lot of things I see on college Pro Football Focus, but they watch a lot of tape. You got to give them that. They watch the games. They watch a lot of tape. They got a big staff, unlike Charles Power. They watch a lot of tape, and they have Bray and Keon SabB among the top 10 safeties in the next draft. 2 things I want to say. A, that's great. Do you remember with the panic at safety we had when Caleb Downs left? We were understandably panicked as Alabama fans, and we moved Malachi from nickel back to safety, and then Keon SabB looked pretty good early. Then he gets hurt. We panic again. replaced by Bray Hubbard. Now look where Bray is, you know, in the safety world here, both on this top 10 list. And I saw Keon SabB in a mock draft this morning going early in the second round. Here's a prediction, though. Crazy prediction. I'm going out on a thin limb here. This could prove so wrong. But despite them being ranked where they are, my early belief is that both Keon SabB and Bray Hubbard will return to Alabama in 2026 and not turn pro early. Keon SabB's a redshirt junior. I think Bray Hubbard's just a redshirt sophomore, which does make him, of course, draft eligible already. And next, you know, for next year, he'll be draft eligible. But I think they'll both return. I do, and in part, it's for a bunch of factors. I'm not just picking this out of the air. It's for a couple factors. Number one, safeties aren't often projected as round one guys anyway. It's not like they're walking away from certain first round stock because most safeties aren't put there. Second, neither one of them have otherworldly measurables, which you often find in the first round. They're great players, great college players, both of them really, but neither one of them are going to run like Caleb Downs is going to run at Indianapolis. They're not that otherworldly when it comes to measurables. Third, they're both good students. And believe it or not, that is a factor that when I'm guessing whether kids stay or go, I often look at the academic performance. Just the fact of the matter is some of these kids that play football don't like school. They hate going to school. They hate going to class. They hate doing. Other kids enjoy it and do well. And the ones that enjoy it and do well tend to stay because they're not being run. They don't hate school. And I don't think Hubbard or SabB, they're both really bright guys. I think they like school. Again, they have eligibility remaining. I'm not going to be surprised if they return. Now, hopefully I'm wrong because they both have such great seasons. They do get consistently projected into round one or two, and then they just can't stay because the projections are so high. I'm hopeful that's the case. But I'm just saying, despite these early projections, my expectation today is that SabB and Hubbard both return in 2026.
And it's not like neither one of them will make money at Alabama. They will make money. They won't make as much money as they would in the NFL, but they will make money and they can finish their degrees and maybe be a part of something super special. But the money part may be the most crucial part. And you know what? When you're talking about money, you know you want to talk about Monarch money. Ah, yes. Monarch money. They're the best. They always have been. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's crazy talk. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one little old place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth because you know that's what you want to do. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check all your finances, track your spending, and even plan some long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege. It's all one word. Code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for half off your first year. Psh, you can't beat that with a stick, y'all. All right, we are at the point where we're going to be doing some more roster countdown here. We got number 75 and number 74 on Jimmy's list. Number 75, Jimmy, is
Marshall Pritchett, tight end from Georgia. I'm very excited about Marshall Pritchett. All the reports on him have been good. He did get hurt, halfway through spring, missed quite a bit of the spring. I have him down here with my projected red shirts, and I do project Marshall to red shirt. That's the official prediction. But I have him higher than others because I think there's a chance he might not. And the reason being, there's a little bit of buzz there. But number two, yes, Alabama's tight end room is like 6 or 7 deep. I mean, we got a bunch of tight ends all of a sudden. But we don't have many pure H's. The move tight ends, the tight ends you can flex outside, the guys that get outside and run routes like receivers. Josh Cuevas is going to do that, and he's going to kind of be the starter and play most of the minutes there. But you could make a case that in the current tight end room, Marshall Pritchett might be the second best guy in that room at doing that. So I'm not going to rule out Marshall Pritchett playing this fall at all. I do think it's quite possible. Also, kids like him tend to be underrated. I'll never forget Miller Forrestall was another guy that most Alabama fans, they didn't pay attention to him at all as a recruit. Dude ended up starting like game one as a true freshman and was a significant player for 4 years. And I think that Miller Forrestall is a really good comp for Marshall Pritchett. So I'm excited about him. I don't rule him out playing. And as the question with him in terms of how good he can be, in my opinion, is weight gain, strength gain. Can he become a really good player at the line of scrimmage in terms of the physicality of it? But running routes and catching balls, I think this dude's in Cuevas territory with how good he can be at that.
Well, now,
that's how I feel about him.
Before we talk about number 74,
yep.
I do want to throw a correction in there for both of us, because there'll be somebody in the comments says we don't know what we're talking about. They'd be right, but we also, when we find out we're wrong about something, we will correct it. I said it's Jackson Riley, and I thought it was the wide receiver. You said Jackson Reed, thought it was the quarterback. His name is Jackson Fields.
New name. So, there you go. Yeah. That is Jackson Fields.
There is a Jackson Reed out there calling his parents going, hey, did I get an offer from Alabama? They're like, no, son, you're 42 years old when I count it.
That's what happens when we discover a brand new name 15 minutes before airtime.
That's exactly how this went down. And by the way, it wasn't that Alabama went and offered the receiver. Somebody said they were looking through Twitter and found this because they were watching the receiver. Now it's all coming back to me again. I'm not even on family vacation. I'm on family duty. So my mind isn't where it needs to be all the time. So y'all bear with us.
Yeah, and this guy doesn't have an Alabama. This guy doesn't have an Alabama offer, by the way. There's no Alabama offer. He doesn't have an offer. He's being invited to Alabama's camp. And there's a lot of kids invited to camp. And 99% of the time, we never even hear about it because it's not a real publicized thing. This kid just happened to publicize, and he's a quarterback. And that's why I'm like, what? Who is this? And why do we need to pay attention to this? As far as we know, he'll come to camp and he's not going to outperform Jett Thomalla, and he won't be a part of things. But you do invite kids to camp because some kids end up kind of overlooked. Yeah, Jackson Fields.
We
did have the Destrehan, Louisiana part, right? We
did have that right, and the film still speaks for itself. A Rose by any other name. Jackson Fields by any other name is still a good quarterback. I mean, watching his film was still fantastic. I'm very sorry about that. I know we're going to have one smart aleck say we don't know what we're talking about. We need to prepare more. All right, well, go for it.
Well,
you would be right. I would love to tell you. I'd love to make fun of you, but you are right. Technically, you're right.
I can argue.
Number 74 on your roster ranking, Jimmy, is
Duke Johnson. He's a guy that we're very excited about to sign, and I know some people will be like, there's no way a kid, some borderline 5-star like him is redshirting, and they might be right. I have him higher than most of these projected redshirts just simply for one reason. I don't think he's going to be really in the picture at inside linebacker this fall, not with Justin Jefferson and Deontay Lawson and Nakai Hill-Green and even QB Reese, who had a pretty noisy spring and might be the 4th inside linebacker now. So if you got 4, I don't really know why you're going to be burning anybody's red shirt, but this kid's super athletic. There was a little buzz this spring, but here's why I think he might not redshirt, and that's this kid has special teams demon written all over him. I mean, I think he could be like last year. I'll tell you who was maybe the most quiet, best special teams player for Alabama last fall was Justin Okoronkwo, who ended up transferring to South Carolina. I think Duke Williams could be this year's Okoronkwo in terms of like not in the picture, not playing a linebacker, but so good on kick coverage and punt coverage that we don't redshirt him. So I've got him with the projected red shirts because my focus is on the inside linebacker position where he plays, and Alabama has such good depth there for now. But 2 things, he might be so good they don't keep him off the field on special teams, and number 2, he's an excellent candidate to have kind of a quiet 2025 and a very noisy 2026.
Hey, you want to talk about guys that did it that way? Mac Wilson.
Yep.
A Reuben Foster.
Great point.
I mean, these are 2 dudes. Reuben Foster is probably most remembered for his special teams hit on Leonard Fournette more than anything. more than any other play.
Yep.
Right?
I mean, great athletic line. I mean, I think if you're going to talk about who can be a great special teams player, athletic linebackers. Nick Saban says one of the best special teams players he's ever coached is Q Robinson. Athletic linebacker. Denver Broncos draft him in the 4th round, I think, with an eye that he's just going to be their core special teams guy and maybe rush the passer on 3rd downs. But Duke Johnson could definitely become that guy out of this group because he runs like a deer. He's a hitter. He can do multiple things. He's very twitchy, is a word that the coaches and the scouts use. Very twitchy. And I think he's going to be a good inside linebacker. It just might take a hot minute there. He's got to gain some good muscle weight, I think, before he's ready to play inside in the SEC. But special teams wise, he could be a demon.
We need several demons on this team. We would love that. We would love pro demon. Jimmy, there is a basketball recruit, transfer prospect that is on campus. That's going to be visiting. I don't know if he's on campus yet, but he's visiting. Desmond Claw.
Visiting today. I think Sunday. Yeah. Sunday.
I don't know if he's on campus right yet.
Right. As we record, he's supposed to arrive because we're recording this on Sunday. He's supposed to arrive today. Desmond Claude. I'm a big fan based on what I think they're looking for, which is perimeter defender. I mean, I think that's really the exact role they're looking for here. And this guy's got some scoring ability to go along with it. I think in terms of, hey, what we'd really love is a 6'6" perimeter guy, is a great athlete who could really defend out there. And if he can score, that's a bonus. That's this guy. Now, I think he does most of his scoring around the rim and not so much from the 3 line, which is a little different for us. But I can't help but wonder. I saw some deep dive on his metrics. Maybe he's not the greatest shooter, but I think he takes and misses quite a few mid-range shots. I wonder if you take his mid-range shots out, as Alabama will, maybe his percentage of shots made rises to the level that we like to see. But they're not recruiting him and wanting him for that number one reason. The number one reason: length on the perimeter, defense, good athlete, a guy who can really run, and a guy that can play the 1. He can play some 1. He's 6'6", but he can play some point guard. I think this is just a good fit with what they think they need. Is he a superstar? Is he going to be the best player on the team? Is he absolutely a starter? I don't know about any of that. I just know that he is a good fit with what it is that they're looking for. So I would look for Alabama to make a push to get this guy on board.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get him and let's knock it out and get this thing solidified. There's some folks that are certainly worried about the roster. I'm fine with the roster if we go to battle with what we have, but I would love to get this kid too. I think we can be a very good team. I don't think we can be a number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, but I think we can be a 4, 5, or 6 seed easily. So I think we'll still win a lot. We're going to have a great schedule. It's going to be a lot of fun, but I think everybody's going to also have to understand with this kind of schedule and not having a Brandon Miller, Mark Sears type guy, it's it could be a little bit more of a struggle, but a struggle for us now isn't hoping to make the NIT. It's like, you think we can make it to the Sweet 16, which I will take that all day long. Jimmy, baseball. And I want to spend a lot of time on it. Disappointing effort yesterday. Just wasn't there. Just wasn't there. You lose 9-3 to Florida. You had an opportunity, I think, to get I think they would have gotten one of those buys, right, if they had won the game. Isn't that right?
I'm not sure how that worked out. I know that they are the highest rate. They're the highest seeded SEC team that has to play on the first day.
Correct.
They missed that by 1 spot. So maybe if you win, maybe you do get a bye. And
you do play Tennessee in the second round. And I'll tell you something, like, Tennessee ain't last year's Tennessee team.
No. They're really good, but more beatable than they were a year ago.
Exactly. Yep. And you play Missouri first. And for the love of all things holy, if Alabama drops it to Missouri, they're going to deserve whatever internet beating they deserve.
Yeah, I think Alabama's in a good position to host a regional, but if you lose to Missouri in round 1, it's going to be very hard to argue that they should. If they lose to Missouri and then don't host, I don't think you have much to blame there. They've got to beat Missouri in game 1. Now, Tennessee, game 2, that's an 8-9 game, and it could just, like all 8-9 games, it can go either way. Alabama actually has a higher RPI than Tennessee. I don't know that a lot of people know that, but Alabama's RPI is higher than the Vols. But that's going to be a tough game. But heck, you get to the second round of the SEC baseball tournament. Heck yeah, you're playing somebody good. There won't be anybody left but good teams on day 2.
Yeah, that's unless Missouri beats us.
And, yeah.
Missouri's not good.
No, they're not. But they're capable. They're somewhat capable. They beat A&M. They swept A&M, right? They swept A&M in College Station. So
yeah,
but A&M's not great compared to most of the SEC, though they were the preseason number 1 team in the whole country.
Yeah, they were, and then we went and swept them too. Mm-hmm. Boy, A&M bookend a pair of sweeps at home.
Yeah,
that's stinky. And then softball. So look, Virginia Tech jumped on us 2-0. It could have been 3-0. There was an overturn at the plate, and
side of the game.
Then Alabama just sort of, they did their thing. They chipped away a little bit, got the lead. Virginia Tech made it a little bit closer. I think the final was 4-3, right? Mm-hmm. Look, I'm on board with this team. I think that, get the win today over Virginia Tech. Then you go play Oklahoma. Oklahoma is doing really well in their regional. I know you're shocked. But there have been some surprises. Yeah. LSU's out.
LSU hosting a regional out at the hands
of Southeast Louisiana.
Southeast Louisiana.
Not even the one we know about. Like, we used to know Southwest Louisiana because they were the Raging Cajuns, right, and we played them.
Yeah,
I don't even know about Southeast Louisiana.
This is the Lions of Hammond, Louisiana, the Southeast. Yeah, and they do have a good softball, baseball team, pretty good too. But they have no business beating LSU. They did knock LSU out. And here's the crazy thing: I don't even think Southeast Louisiana is going to win the regional. I think Nebraska will, who's very good, who's led by Jordy Ball, one of the best players in the country, former Oklahoma player, of course, who transferred to Nebraska. But she's fantastic. I sort of like Nebraska to come out of that regional today. But Alabama's got to beat Virginia Tech. If they don't beat them in the 1 o'clock game, they'll get a second chance. So you got to win one of the 2 today, but you hope you knock it out in game 1. And if this team wins a regional, advances to a Super Bowl, and knocks down, hey, we're one of the best 16 teams in this sport. I think for this group, that will be a great outcome, period. And then what happens at Oklahoma happens. They did beat Oklahoma 2 out of 3 during the season. That was in Tuscaloosa, but they have had some success against the Sooners. So we'll see.
Any other softball surprises? I didn't get to check them all out. I know Tennessee's done well. I think Oklahoma, as we said. Texas A&M, didn't they drop a game? Aren't they in an elimination situation?
I think A&M might be in an elimination situation. Auburn lost to South Florida in the very first game that they played in the Tallahassee Regional. Went to extra innings, and they lost because South Florida hit a grand slam in extra innings in a real high-scoring game. Most of the SEC is doing really well as expected. Arkansas has struggled a bit. They've had some famous postseason collapses after having dominating regular seasons. Looks like they're kind of at least limping through the postseason again. But all eyes on Alabama today. Probably starting Caitlin Riley, I assume, in game 1, saving Brisky for that game 2 if they need her, pitching in back-to-back days. But I like Alabama's chances today. Virginia Tech's good. Tech is a good team. They feature the number 1 home run hitter in the country. A girl playing for Virginia Tech's hit 30 home runs. Callie Heveland leads Alabama, and I think she hit like 13. This girl, Virginia Tech, has 30.
Listen to how good the SEC is. I just pulled up the schedule for today, okay? Listen, every game I'm mentioning has an SEC team in it. Florida State and Auburn. Obviously.
These are all championship games too, right? This is all the championship round.
Yeah. So, and the second team listed is the team that has to win both. I believe that's how it operates. Okay. So Florida State, Auburn, Tennessee, Ohio State, Florida, Mercer, Texas, USC. So I said, I thought Florida's, that's right. Never mind. That's right. Yeah. Wait a minute. I don't know if I'm reading this right. Maybe it doesn't matter. All right. North Florida, South Kakalaki, Clemson, Kentucky, Bama, Vatech, Oklahoma, California. That's all the games. That's all the games.
Those are all SEC teams. Yeah. I'm telling you, the super regionals, which are the top 16 teams, that's just going to be filled with SEC teams next week. That'll be fun. What a great baseball, softball week coming up. SEC tournament in Hoover starts Tuesday. Alabama playing 9:30 a.m. games Tuesday and Wednesday. assuming they win on Tuesday, single elimination. But SEC baseball tournament this week, starting Tuesday in Hoover. Super regionals starting Thursday, Friday, and softball filled with SEC teams, hopefully including Alabama at Oklahoma, a matchup of SEC teams.
And then I did neglect Texas A&M, Liberty, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Georgia, Duke. Good Lord, Mississippi State, Texas Tech. Now I finally found one that doesn't feature an LSU team, and a SEC team, and that's because LSU was upset, and that's Nebraska, Southeast Louisiana. And here's another one that doesn't, and that's Oregon, Stanford, and UCLA, UC Santa Barbara. But then there's Ole Miss, Arizona. I mean, Jimmy, this is ridiculous. And when you think about LSU being such an anomaly, and they're a good team, it's just bizarre how good this league is. I mean, it's crazy.
The softball quickly turned into the baseball. I mean, the SEC softball is just by far the best league, just like baseball. And by the way, SEC baseball, the top 5 teams in the RPI, the top 5,
it's insane.
All SEC teams.
All right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.